Let's talk about my 3 tips on how I stay creative. First tip is having confidence and conviction in the work that you do. I gotta take a break. I have that one spot just floating away. It's actually really cool how I can see it still. When I talk about being creative, I talk about being inside of a mindset. But 2 of the major factors that I find that help me stay creative are 1, confidence, because I have to feel confident in myself and the work that I do. And 2, conviction. I have to have conviction in the work that I do that it will mean something. That is a painting from scratch. This was, and still is, my most favorite painting. I did move that piece in front of my desk. It's supposed to have some upkeep where I have to fix that one little fold. How can you be so sure that you're making great work? Having to make sure that you are making great work, you have to have conviction in the own work that you do. That is super important. Without having confidence, you won't have conviction. And to be able to have conviction is the most important part about being able to show your art to other people. And having both confidence and conviction together make the force of what you do unstoppable. Number 2, I read. I do my best to read almost every single night. One of the worst habits that I have, and I'm sure that you can relate, is doom scrolling. Sure, you're finding inspiration through social media. The worst part is that you give yourself little mini hits of dopamine that you're watching somebody else create and you're consuming. So there's a difference between being able to give yourself dopamine through doing the type of creative stuff you want to do. It's not necessarily reading that helps me stay creative. It's that act of doing something else other than being on my phone. So I get myself lost into an activity instead of having to doom scroll and stay away from as many screens as I possibly can. I usually read narrative or sometimes a self-help book that helps me understand the laws of the universe. So I like to read things that help enhance my brain or let my brain be on a break and live in a whole different world for a bit. Here's my shameless plug for this video. I'm actually selling this painting, and if you are interested, you can find my Instagram down below. It's actually my most favorite painting. Hopefully I didn't just blind myself forever. It goes, "It's the pain dealt by a person without heart that makes me think twice. We're all just human, but I forget that some won't play nice. The world made it hard for love, so I had to sacrifice my golden totem that brings me life." If you play Minecraft, then you probably know what I'm referencing. My 3rd and final tip that helps me stay creative is not comparing myself to others. Comparing myself to others is just the absolute downfall to a whole entire creative process and as a person in general. When you start to compare yourself, you start to think that you aren't enough. When sometimes the art that I do or the art that you do is solely dependent on who you are and how much work you can do and what type of work that you do. At the end of the day, it's hard to very much get yourself out of that mindset of comparing yourself to all these other amazing, talented people. You don't want to tear your own self down by looking at other people's work, right? You aren't these people. These people have their own lives. They do this for their own reasons. When you start to do things for your own reason, you won't be comparing yourself to others. So a great way for me to not compare myself to others is by giving myself a goal that I can reach for my own self, that I'm capable of doing with my own work, with my own tone, and with my own voice. Anyone can paint what I can paint, but I'm not going to compare myself to post-impressionists and impressionist artists like Monet or Van Gogh. If I sat here and compared myself every single day, I would honestly just break down. I wouldn't even do the things that I like to do. It wouldn't even be anything that I would like to do anymore at that point. What's the point of comparing yourself if all you're gonna do is just tear yourself down? There's no point. So that is the 3rd thing that really helps me be creative, is going up against my own self. The only person I can compare to is myself. Myself from after a painting that I just painted, or myself from who I was a year ago. And you don't have to think about comparing yourself in the most artistic way, right? You can compare yourself by looking at yourself emotionally and what you've gained through the years of understanding how to deal with your emotions, how to deal with others' emotions, and just being a better person to yourself and everyone else around you. The work that you do is super important, and you shouldn't let anyone take that away from you, not even your own self. It's easy to doubt your own self, but they say that the road to heaven is usually hell, and the road to hell is usually heaven. You have to do hard things. You have to be able to push your own self to find who you are in all of that marble, to chisel your own self out, to unfold the types of layers of who you can possibly be as this own person in this whole entire world. Creativity is a mindset, and anyone can enter into that mindset. It takes a bit of a process. There's so many more factors than to just think you're being creative. Creative process takes hours to even jump into. And speaking from my own experience, I find it very difficult to even start my own art. It takes me about 3 hours to finally get into the zone of things. And that's what a lot of creative gurus will tell you. It's a very difficult process to get into. But once you really sit yourself into that, you sit yourself into your own brain and all this creativity that you can possibly pour out, that you have in your own head. I can guarantee that if you build your own confidence and you have your own conviction and you stay away from screens and do another activity that can better yourself, along with never comparing yourself to others, you will most definitely find an amazing version of your own self that you can only enhance from there. There's only enhancements. Life isn't an accumulation of everything that you've gained. You're unfolding yourself. Just like how Michelangelo would sculpt anything out of marble. That sculpture was already inside of that marble. All he did was have to chisel away and find it. So, find your own self. Unfold layers of your own self, of who you can possibly be. Give yourself confidence. And most definitely, on top of this all, and I'll put you on some more game, give your own self grace. Something you might ask from others. You can also give yourself grace. Be easy on your own self. If you aren't easy on your own self, you'll find yourself creating for the wrong reasons. You might even start to hate what you do. You might even dislike what you're possibly doing. I hope that these 3 tips have helped you, and hopefully that these videos will continue to do so.